Hello, good evening, and welcome to our Year 7 Parents' Evening. My name is Tim Johnson. I am the not so newly appointed now head teacher of Norton College, and it gives me real pleasure to welcome you to this. It's a real shame that we can't have you in person. It's a real shame, more significantly, we can't have your children in person at the moment, but the world is as the world is. So we're doing our very best, as you're aware, to effectively bring you to Norton from the outside through this kind of virtual world. So we're running our Year 7 Parents' Evening in that virtual way tonight. For the first time, we're doing this in a way that has teachers at home on occasion. Some teachers are in school to deliver, some are at home. We're very confident that it will work, but just bear with us, as I said in my letter last Friday, if we do have one or two technical issues that could occur over the course of the evening, but we will get any issues ironed out as quickly as we can. I'm confident, as I say, that we won't actually have any over the course of the evening itself. So what I'm going to do this evening, just before we go through into the parents' evening itself, is just to take you through a little bit about me, about my vision for Norton College. Obviously, you won't know anything other than the detail of me as the head teacher. So what I want to say is really well done to you as well as to your children for the way in which you've all adapted to this new world. It's a new world for us all. I'd never heard of Microsoft Teams until maybe a year ago, and now we're all very, very familiar with how that works, how that operates. We've gone for the brave option. We're live streaming lessons in a way that many schools are not, and I think that's really paid off. It's worked in a way that we really hoped it would do. It's allowed your children to keep up with the curriculum, and probably more crucially to learn interactively in a way that they otherwise really can't. So we're learning as we go. We're going to do a survey of yourselves as parents over the course of the next week. My letter tomorrow will have a link to that survey, and I would really appreciate it if you could complete that and just give us an outline really of how you're finding things, because we're always looking to improve. It is going well, we know that, but that doesn't mean that it will go well infinitely. So any issues, any concerns, any advice that you can give to us, that would be the medium through which to do that. But really well done to your children for the way in which they've adapted to this strange new world. They've been at Norton College for so little time, and yet they're working now in a way that so many of their peers who are older have never had to. And they're doing it brilliantly, and engagement is fabulous, and the work that they're producing is equally fabulous. I'll come on to that shortly. So you can see here the Microsoft Teams icon that I was just referring to. We're all very, very familiar with that now. I sent out, as part of our social media pages last week, some illustrations of some of the work that students have done, and some of this work that you can see here has been done by Year 7 students, so including cooking for the family as well as creating these kind of stages that they're doing at home. And there's something peculiarly fabulous about the idea that you're telling students what to do from a school in which they aren't, and then they're producing it at home and submitting it to us from there. And that's something that we've never experienced before. There will actually be things that we take forward from this awful pandemic that will be of real benefit in the future in terms of how we communicate and how we work with you as parents and how we work with students and they learn. Now, one of the things I wanted to go through really with you was what's my vision for Norton College. I've moved to Norton College from Fulford School in York. Fulford School in York is a very successful school. I've been there for 15 years as deputy head, and in that process of improvement, really at the core of what I've looked to do, it was no different really to what I would want for all of the students and the community here at Norton College. And I'm sharing with you what that vision is, and it is, as you can see here, to create a vibrant, inclusive, caring and safe environment where children thrive academically and socially, which is universally recognised as outstanding. That's beyond Ofsted, that's by the local community, by the children who are here and by the staff who are here as well. To develop a love of learning and to achieve the best possible outcomes for all students goes without saying. It's a passport to success in later life. And to offer a breadth of subjects and knowledge and to develop a range of skills useful in wider life. Unlike so many of their teachers, your children won't go on to a kind of straight linear progression in terms of their careers. They won't, as I did, go into, because I did English, I went into being an English teacher. For most students, it will be an amalgam of those different subjects and the skills that they get that will equip them best for that future life and that future career. To develop well-rounded young people who are tolerant, respectful, and able to make a positive contribution to society is absolutely pivotal. I want to be able to see students when I see them 10, 15 years from now and they're adults and think they've really contributed to the wider world. They've made the world a better place. And that's not just about getting qualifications and a good salary and a life with a family and all those things that we expect and want. It's about really being a thoroughly good person. Now, systems lie at the heart of all that I do, and you would have picked that up through many of the letters and the things that you would have seen, albeit that you may not have been parents at Norton College. You will be aware that certain things have changed over the course of this year, and those systems for me are integral in creating an outstanding provider. We've got your children as the kind of seedlings that you can see there, and that's not designed to be patronising. That's designed to kind of exemplify the way in which we approach things here. The family feel really appealed to me at Norton College, and I do not want to lose that, and we won't. Ultimately, we're trying to nurture your children through their lives at the college and make them ready for the wider world outside of it, and to grow them in the way that you grow a seedling into a plant. The mountain is something which kind of lies at the heart of so much of the display and ethos of the college. And within that mountain is this core principle of values, the Aspire values. And I was asked at my interview which of these values I thought was the most important, which is a really difficult question. And for me, it's pride, because when I go back through my own life, I know that my own parents and my grandparents always said to me, if you try your very best, then you can do no more than that. And there'll be occasions where it doesn't quite work, and we know that. However, if I know that I've given it my very best, then that pride that I take forward, I think, is the very best of those badges that we can take forward into later life. Role models are really integral to the success of a school, and your children, as part of Year 7, are part of a fabulous year group, and I say that absolutely hand on heart. They really are. They have equipped themselves incredibly well to the idea of a Year 7 bubble, to working in their own discrete area, to having breaks as a group, and in many ways it's really sad that they haven't been able to mix with other children from other years as they normally would. And we will get through this, and at that point they will do that, but they have been fabulous, and they are actually real role models and will be for the new Year 7s who will be joining us before we know it when we get to September. So to carry on in that way is really important. At the heart of what we look to do here are British values, and fundamental British values lie at the heart of every school curriculum. And as you look around those, we've begun already doing assemblies around aspects of these. We've talked about the rule of law, we've talked about democracy. For me, the most important ones here, though, are around respect and around tolerance. And there are three areas that for me are absolute non-negotiables: that we are not racist, that we are not homophobic, and that we do not bully others, and that we're kind ultimately to each other. And that goes back to what I was saying about really growing your children into individuals who will be a really positive part of society as a wider contribution and role. And it is a real opportunity, Norton College, it really is. Your children have come to a really good school, and they've got an opportunity really to begin to make a real mark in the world here. And that's how they should see it, despite the complications and pandemic that we currently have. I've shared with them this image within assemblies. This is the Sistine Chapel, and of course, when we think about the way in which the Sistine Chapel was created and painted, it is probably the most remarkable feat of human artistry, I think, that certainly I've ever seen over my life. And Michelangelo, who painted the Sistine Chapel, said this quotation, which I use so widely and so regularly: the greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but too low and we reach it. Not settling for mediocrity is at the heart of those Aspire values, and that really is what this is about for me, aiming to be the best you can be. And if you don't quite get there, if you've given your best, like I said, my parents always said they would be proud of me for doing just that, then that's okay. But aim to be the best that you can be. The bumblebee is another image that I share widely with students, because very often I hear students, and I've been teaching for 28 years, and over the 28 years, I couldn't tell you how many times I've heard children say, I can't do it. And I always come back to the fact that you can't do it yet. There's one word missing there, because ultimately I'll be doing some assemblies next week around resilience. And that's exactly what school life is: finding things difficult, overcoming those challenges. And the bumblebee typifies that really, because if you look at the rules of physics, it shouldn't be able to fly. It's got little wings and a big body, and yet we know that it can. And you can defy those odds. When you think it's really hard, you can go through and you can power through and you can work at it, be resilient, and you can achieve. Because we know that success doesn't go in a straight line. That image on the left is the image that we all like to apply to success, but it doesn't work like that. It works like the squiggly line on the right-hand side. We have peaks and troughs. We have moments where we succeed and our brilliant moments where we feel like we'll never succeed again. But that's what life is about, learning from those mistakes that we make. And we recognise that here at Norton. We build upon that. That quotation again is one that I really believe in, success being the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. And the famous quotation that Rome wasn't built in a day is of course true, but I come back to the fact that Rome was built through people laying bricks every day. And that's what this is about. Actually, year 7, despite the complications, is a really important year for your child. Because ultimately education, although your children may leave education, go into a career well distanced from it, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And Nelson Mandela said that. And I think that really lies at the heart of my philosophy, that actually we are equipping your children for real success in all aspects of their lives after they leave Norton College. And I come back to that quotation there in achieving that, aiming to be the best that you can possibly be, and our support across the college and the support of the staff that we have here who are phenomenal is there to do just that, to help your children to achieve the very best that they can be. And goes back to the bumblebee, and to be able to fly as the bee does, despite the fact that the rules of physics say that it shouldn't. It says at the top of the slide that the future starts now, and it does. In fact, their future has already begun, in that we've gone through the last term and a bit. It's complicated and it's difficult, and I know that. I recognise that. As a parent myself, I understand the complications of the whole pandemic. However, your children are working incredibly well. And this evening and tomorrow and next week are all part of building that future that I was talking about, those small bricks of success along the way. And we are here to absolutely support you and your children in achieving that. As I said at the beginning, I'm really sorry not to be able to meet you in person. I'm really sorry to have to do it in this way. But I think it's important that you at least get a flavour of kind of what I'm about, what I stand for, how we work at the college. At that point, I'm going to leave you to go to your virtual parents' evening. I hope it works well. I hope you get a very clear indication of how well your children are doing at the college. And I really look forward to meeting you in person in the near future. Thank you and good night.